Hi everyone! Happy Friday! Welcome to the Friday Night Curry Club. It's lovely to have you join me on a Friday night to enjoy some delicious food. I hope everybody's well. I hope you've all had wonderful weeks and you're all looking forward to the weekend. I know I am. So today we are going to be cooking two dishes, and I thought it'd be really nice for us all to go off to a curry house and do some classic curry house dishes. So we're going to be cooking a chicken jalfrezi and some Bombay aloo, and they are both really lovely dishes and they complement each other really nicely too. But before I get started, before we get into the swing of it all, as always, I like to say a big hello to everybody who's joining me. So if you are cooking, if you're watching, if you are anywhere in the world, what I like you to do is just give me a little shout out. Let me know who you are, let me know where you are in the world, let me know if you are cooking or just watching. As I say every week, this is your opportunity to ask lots of questions and I will try to answer them as succinctly as I possibly can. If I can't answer them right now, I will take them away and I will hopefully come back to you during the week. So have we got people already saying hello?
Got Mark from Johannesburg.
Hello Mark from Johannesburg, lovely to have you join us. We're getting a bit of a South African contingent joining us every week, so I'm really pleased to have you join me. Thank you so much for coming along.
Ali in New Zealand is watching.
Hello Ali in New Zealand, amazing. Again, what time is it? 5 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely wonderful to have you join, and I hope you'll be cooking this later on because I don't think you want to do it right now, but thank you for joining. It's really amazing to have you with me.
Got Khadija from Morocco.
Hello Khadija, all the way from Morocco, where the land of beautiful spices and colour and vibrancy. Welcome, thank you for joining me.
We have got Lawrence in Ireland.
Hello Lawrence in Ireland, I hope you're getting a bit of sunshine. It's been glorious here all week, I hope you're getting it too.
We've got Kevin in Arkansas, Kate in Phoenix in Arizona.
So Kate and Kevin all the way in the US. Lovely to have you join me. It's brilliant because we get such a big US contingent that are coming together. I know you're in different places, but we get quite a lot of people from California joining us each week, all over the US. It's brilliant. I love it. So thank you. Please tell your friends and family as well. Get them joining in because it's just lovely to have lots and lots of you to chat to and help if I can in any way. Welcome everybody, and I hope we've got lots of people from the UK as well, as always. As I say, if you've got any questions at any point, just shout out and hopefully I'll get them fed through to me and I'll be able to answer them as we're going along. So the Friday Night Curry Club is all about getting you guys to cook great, fresh Indian food using spices and just hopefully inspiring you to try some great dishes at home, cook them yourselves without having to reach for that takeaway. Not that that's a bad thing, absolutely good thing to do every now and again, but it's a really lovely opportunity for you guys to cook from scratch, and that's what I'm hoping comes across. I'll talk a little bit about how the Friday Night Curry Club works later on, but the two dishes that we're doing today are really nice, really quick, really simple. One of the things that I get told or asked over and over is Indian food takes such a long time to cook, and hopefully those of you who have joined me week in, week out, you'll hopefully start to realise that actually, you know, we're normally together for an hour, maybe an hour and a half maximum, and you can come away with some really fresh tasting, amazing Indian dishes. And that's hopefully coming through. So the jalfrezi is almost India's answer, or a UK restaurant's answer to a stir fry. And the Bombay aloo, the name, so somebody asked me this on Instagram earlier, Bombay aloo is just the name that's been given to this dish. At home, when we cook it, we call it suke aloo, or dry potato. So potatoes that have been cooked in a few sort of very key spices, but it's a dry potato dish. I know some restaurants do it more in a masala sauce, but the way that I cook it, it's a dry potato dish, and that's your Bombay aloo. So the way that we're going to do it today is we're going to start with the jalfrezi. I'm going to show you, and I know this was a little bit confusing when I put the ingredients out. I know a few of you got confused, but we are starting with the masala. So I'm going to show you how to make the tomato gravy or the tomato masala. We're then going to do a jalfrezi fry, and we'll bring the two together. But the way that I'm going to work it today, just so that if you are cooking with me, you know what's going to happen. We'll do the tomato sauce or the tomato gravy, the tomato masala first. We'll get the chicken in there and we'll get that cooking. Then we're going to move on to do the Bombay potatoes. Once we've done that and they are cooking away, we're going to come back to the chicken, and then I'm going to show you how to do the jalfrezi fry bit. And then we're going to put the fry, which is the vegetable bit, in with the chicken and bring that dish together. And then by that time, hopefully the potatoes will be done as well. And then there you go. That's your Friday night dinner sorted. And hopefully about an hour if I stop talking as much as I do. Okay, so to get going, I'm just going to do a quick little shout out as to what we've got here. I've got my masala dabba. If you've got any questions about that, I do tend to go through it every week because it's something that does interest lots of you. But that's my masala dabba, my key spices, my 7 key spices that I use very, very frequently. I've got some peppers. Now you can use whichever peppers you like. I just happen to have a red and a yellow one. I've got a red onion, I've got a tomato, and I've got a chilli, and that is for my fry bit, my jalfrezi fry bit. I've then also got some chicken, so I'm using thigh meat, chicken thigh off the bone. I've just sliced it up. I've got some fresh tomatoes, which I'm going to be using to make the masala with, and then traditionally in restaurants, a jalfrezi is a dish with a little bit of a kick. It is quite a spicy dish, but I will come back to the point that I try to make every single week is it doesn't have to be that spicy that you don't enjoy it. So always cook your dish that suits your family. So if you don't want to put 3 chilies in it this time, so I'm going to be putting 3 in at this stage and then another 1 in with the peppers. If that's too much for you, just stick to 1 or 2, whatever suits your family and suits your palate, that's what you should cook to. So I've got some green chilies and I've got my garlic, and those are going to go in. I've also got a little bit of yogurt, and the yogurt's going to add a little tang to the masala or the sauce, the gravy that we're doing, but you don't have to necessarily add yogurt if you don't want to. And then I've got some fresh coriander. It looks a little bit sad, but that's from my garden, which is why I haven't got great big bushes of it, but that's from my garden and it's fresh and it's really, really aromatic, so it's lovely. So that's going into my Bombay aloo later. I've got my potato bits and bobs over there. Right, to get going, we're just going to get prepped and get a little bit sorted. I'm going to pop my pan on. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in. I'm just using vegetable oil here, nothing more exciting than that, and then I'm just going to get all of my bits ready.
Do you make your own yogurt?
I've got a recipe on the website that shows you how to make yogurt. It's really easy to make, and it's something that takes me back to childhood because I can remember my mum doing it all the time. Sometimes I make it, sometimes I buy it. It really depends on how much time I've got. But if you haven't ever made yogurt, I do urge you to give it a go because it's so satisfying. And as I said, there is a recipe on the app and the website that shows you how to do it. Really super simple. Okay, I'm just going to get my garlic chopped. I'm just going to do it in nice sort of slices, nice and thin. Now, if you are cooking I say this each week as well. Please do let me know how you're getting on. Let me know if I'm speeding ahead and you need me to slow down. Let me know if you're encountering a problem or an issue, because if you don't know, if you don't tell me, I won't know. So please do shout out and let me know how you're getting on. And the other thing that I will mention now, and I say it all the way through, is if you are cooking with me, and those of you who have in the past, it's really lovely to see the pictures that you take during your cooking with me. If you are cooking with me, if it's your first time, please do take pictures of how you're getting on, take pictures of your final dish, because I love to see how they come out. So you can share those pictures with me on Instagram, you can share them with me on my app. There are lots and lots of ways, but please do take a picture and share it with me. I know sometimes a few of you get a little bit carried away and eat the food before before you take a picture. That's fine. Take a picture of your empty plate. That's good enough for me.
When to use fresh fenugreek versus dry fenugreek?
So fenugreek, it really depends what you're doing. So fresh fenugreek, we tend to use almost like spinach. So it's actually an ingredient that you would have in your dish. It's used more of in a spice or a herbal way when it's dried. So I've got various dishes. So for example, I've got a methi murg, which is a chicken and methi or fenugreek dish, and in that I use fresh. Sometimes we also chop it up and put it into dough to make rotis as well, so that you would use fresh, but if you haven't got fresh you can use dried. But when you want it as an ingredient, then you tend to use fresh, but if you want it more of a herb, then you use the dried. I hope that sort of makes a little bit of sense. It's quite difficult to sort of generalize, but I hope that helps. Okay, so what I'm doing at the moment, I've got my garlic, I'm just chopping up my chilli. So my 3 chilies that I'm using to go into the masala, into the gravy, I'm chopping up nice and finely because I want them to sort of dissipate throughout that sauce. I'm also, whilst I'm here, going to get my tomatoes ready. So I've got 3 tomatoes here. I'll have a look at how I get on. I might put another one in, but these look fairly juicy and fairly ripe, so I'm chopping them up nice and finely. There we go. I'd love to know if you are cooking. Has anybody said they are cooking along? Has anyone said they're just watching? Cooking. Is that Sugeen? Hi Sue, how you doing? I know you haven't cooked with me for a while. I know you've been watching, but it's lovely to have you join.
Lorraine in Dunoon has said, rocking the saute pan, chopped and diced and ready to rumble.
Who was that, sorry?
Lorraine.
Hi Lorraine in Dunoon. Where's Dunoon?
Argyle.
Oh, okay, yes, I know where you are. Brilliant, lovely to have you join and lovely to know that you're cooking along. I always say as well, as it's Friday, I hope you've all got a drink in hand and you are relaxing and enjoying the chilled out sort of coming up to the weekend feeling that we've all got.
Cara and Gigi are cooking and Christina is cooking.
Hello Cara, hello Gigi, thank you for cooking. Lovely to know that you're cooking. And who else did you say?
Christina is cooking.
Hi Christina.
As well as Lawrence and Joni from
Lawrence and Joni, I'm loving your pictures. I love the pictures you send on Facebook, all of those step by step. And I am all over you with the Prosecco, but I'm trying to be good, so there you go. I hope you enjoy your Prosecco. It is Friday.
Kaushik Das is cooking as well.
Hi Kaushik, lovely to have you join. I think you've joined a few times now. I'm starting to get to know you all a little bit, which is just amazing.
Shrubber has asked, I'm making all of my dishes with good quality Italian canned tomatoes. Since most dishes are cooked down, what's the benefit of fresh tomatoes? Is there a different flavour?
It really depends. And some dishes I will use fresh tomatoes. Some dishes I will use tinned tomatoes. I love using tinned tomatoes and I use them a lot. And I'm not snobby in that you have to use fresh. It really depends on what you're doing. So if you are looking for a dish with quite a bit of a sauce, quite a bit of a gravy, then I tend to use tinned tomatoes. This dish has a bit of a gravy to it, but once you put the peppers and all of that in, it's not hugely saucy, which is why I tend to use fresh ones in this. But there isn't any right or wrong. I love tinned tomatoes. I use them all the time, as I said, and I do tend to use the Italian tomatoes are absolutely the best. I completely agree with you. Okay.
Isabella.
Hello, Isabella.
Cooking along has asked, can I use fresh turmeric instead of powder, which is not one you get very often?
Yes, you can use fresh turmeric. So you just need to grate that in. One little bit of, I'm assuming you've used fresh turmeric before because that's where you've got it. Just one little word of warning: fresh turmeric colours everything from your fingers to your workstation to your spoons to everything, so do be a little bit careful about it. But all you do is you just grate it in, or you can put it in a blitzer. But fresh turmeric is brilliant to use, and you can absolutely use that rather than dried stuff. So okay, so to get going then, the first thing I'm going to do in my pan is I'm going to add cumin seeds. So just to share with you, can you see them? Long, thin, brown seeds. Cumin seeds are probably the most commonly used Indian spice. What they do is they bring out the natural sweetness of your dish. They also, when you add them as a whole spice, i.e. not ground, they add a lovely nuttiness to your dish as well. So I tend to use them in rice dishes, and I tend to use them in those dishes that are going to have a little bit of chunkiness to them, which this dish absolutely is. So I've put in 1 teaspoon now. I'm going to add a little bit more.
Someone's asked, coconut milk versus dairy cream, when to use?
Coconut cream versus dairy cream. It really depends on your personal choice. So I will use, if I'm cooking, for example, a South Indian curry, you sort of think about, okay, what is it about South Indian food that makes it unique? So it's the ingredients that they use. South Indian cooking is all about coconut, tamarind, all of those sort of seafoody, lemony, all of those kinds of ingredients. So that's when I would probably use coconut milk. If I'm thinking about a North Indian dish, which is where my family come from, so it's all about those deep, rich, meaty curries, things like butter chicken and all of that kind of thing, that's where I'd use cream. I hope that's sort of given you a little bit of an idea as to where I'm coming from. Okay, so when you put your spices in, when your cumin goes in, you put it in, it starts to sizzle. Once you can smell it, have a little smell. As soon as you can smell it, you know you're ready to go in with your next ingredient, okay? All you are doing by heating up your spices is you are getting them to release the oils that sit within them. And by releasing those oils, that is what is going to go into your food, and that's what's going to make your food smell and taste amazing. So,
is there a difference between naan bread and rotis?
Yes, there absolutely is a difference between naan bread and rotis. But before I go on to that, my cumin seeds are starting to get aromatic, so I'm going to go in with my garlic and my chillies. So when you put your garlic in, just turn the temperature down a little bit, because we don't want it to burn, but we do want to get rid of the sort of the raw acrid flavour that it has. So I'm just going to give that a little stir before I put my chillies in. And the reason I'm doing that is as soon as I put my chillies in, they can catch the back of your throat. So just be a little bit mindful. Okay, so the difference between naan and roti. Naan comes from, generally, the dough is leavened, so it's either got yeast in there, it's got something that's going to aerate it. Roti isn't. Roti's more of a flatbread. So roti is usually atta, which is the flour that we use to make rotis. Atta it's the whole grain is crushed. So it's a little bit like a mixture between wholemeal and plain. So it's that sort of, it's a slightly coarser consistency. And it's just that flour with water. You bring that together, you let the dough sit for a while, and then you roll them out. And they're more flatbreads that puff up with air, whereas leavened bread puffs up again with air, but it's much more doughy, and it's much more the stuff that you can dip into the gravy, and it soaks it all up. So yeah, they are very, very different. Rotis we tend to eat pretty much with every single meal. Easier to do, quicker to do, healthier. Naan bread's more sort of for a special occasion. Okay, so my garlic, I can start to smell that coming through. Now I'm just gonna try and get all of my tomatoes in there without losing all the juice. So I'm gonna pop those in with the chilli. Give that all a stir. Now that you can hear it when it went in first, it was sizzling and whatever, and then very, very quickly the sound stops, and that's because you've cooled that pan right down. So that's going to stop the spices burning. It's going to stop the garlic from burning. You just need to make sure you turn it back up. Now, what we want to happen at this point is we want to let this cook, because we want our tomatoes to break down to a pulp. And that's going to be your gravy or your tomato sauce, your masala. With this dish, so as at the beginning I said, it's very much like an Indian stir fry. And if you've joined me in my sessions before, I've always said that Indian food and curries, the flavour and the depth of flavour is all about how you cook your onions. So this dish, because you don't have that beginning section where you are cooking your onions down to get that lovely deep dark brown colour, here we are, it's a much lighter dish, and it's much more fresh, if you like, because you don't have that onion depth going through it. So I'm just going to keep an eye on these. I have turned it up a little bit. Yeah, we've got some questions coming in.
Do you use an instant pot by chance? If so, how often?
So an instant pot slow cooker, is that what you mean? Because we use slightly different terms. If you're talking about a slow cooker, yes, I do. In fact, I've got a whole book all about how you cook using a slow cooker for Indian food, and it's one of the things that I think is a really good way of doing it. In fact, here it is. Look at that. So I do use a slow cooker, and I've also put that together to help other people who want to cook Indian food. Slow cooking Indian food is an amazing way to get that lovely flavour. So all Indian food, or most Indian food, is all about that slow cook, and that's where that depth and flavour comes from. So if that's what you mean, then there you go. But otherwise, and because some people, when they say instant cooker, it's not necessarily a slow cooker. It's more of it can be a fast cooker, like a pressure cooker. But let me know if I haven't answered your question. Let me know.
And then someone said,
I'm going to put another tomato in.
Sometimes I use full cream milk. Is that also okay?
For what? What do you mean? What do you use full cream milk for? Do you mean rather than cream? Absolutely, that's absolutely fine. I use full fat milk in, it just gives a little bit of a depth, if that's what you're referring to. If I've got that completely wrong, please shout. So I've just put another tomato in. Can I grab another one from over for this later? The only reason I've done that is that my tomatoes aren't as ripe as I thought they were, so I want a little bit more gravy. The other thing you can do is just a little splash of water just to help it on its way.
What pan are you using / do you recommend?
So I am all about a nice sort of casserole dish, dishes that you can have on the hob and that you can put in the oven as well. Cast iron, you just get a really beautiful flavour from them because they allow that heat to penetrate back into the pan. So anything from like a Staub to a Le Creuset, anything like that is where I'm at. Okay, so into that I'm going to add a little bit of salt. So I've got some salt flakes which I'm just putting in, and I'm going to put in a little bit of chili powder, and I'm also going to put in my turmeric. So I've got just under a teaspoon going in, and I'm going to give that a mix. And I'll show you what the inside of my pan looks like. And at the moment, this is not where I want to be because this needs to cook down until you have a really nice thick pulp of tomato. Okay, so can you see? It's quite chunky at the moment, but that is going to all break down and you're going to get a really nice thick pulp. So I'm just going to move that to a different hob while we move on to
In Indian cooking, when to use slow cooker versus pressure cooker? Would the same recipe come out differently?
So pressure cooker we tend to use for things that need a little bit of an oomph. So it could be chickpeas, black chickpeas, it could be mutton, anything that would take a long time to cook if you just put it on the hob. So those are the kinds of dish, lots of dal dishes that you tend to use a pressure cooker for. Slow cooker, I mean, generally, again, you can use it for the same thing, but if you've got the whole day, then your slow cooker is absolutely perfect for it. But if you need to do something a little bit more quickly, your pressure cooker is your best friend. So it really depends on your personal needs and what you're hoping for. I've just moved this back because I've realised I'm not going to move on to the potatoes quite yet, because I want this to break down a little bit before I do that, because I need to get my chicken in. So that's going to cook away. What I can do in the meantime is I'm going to get my peppers and bits and pieces ready for when we add our fry bit. So jalfrezi, okay.
Someone from Iran has just come.
Hello, who's that? Have we got a name? Somebody from Iran. Lovely to have you join. Thank you so much. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up my peppers, my onion, and my tomato, just so that I've got it ready. And I'm going to have these quite chunky because...
Have you added your chili powder yet?
I've added my chili powder, and my turmeric has gone into my masala there. Okay, I've got a little bit of a... So if you are with me, let me know. Or if I'm leaving you behind, or if you're racing ahead, again, let me know. It does help. So I've got that pepper there. Oh, it's looking good. It's actually quite a simply spiced dish, this one.
Someone's asked, can you say hello to their mum, Parveen?
Hello, Mum. Who's that, Parveen? Is that the mum, or is that the... Hello, how are you? Welcome. Where are you in the world? Let me know if you are local, if you are a UK person, or wherever you are. But hello and welcome. Thank you for joining. It's lovely to have you, as always. Okay, so I'm just going to cut up my pepper. I'm going to go chunky. Some people like to go strips, whatever suits you, but for this dish, generally, you want to go nice, big, sort of chunky. Right. Keep an eye on your sauce. It is really starting to break down. This is the bit that's quite interesting, because a lot of people won't or they tend to think that it's going to take a long time for tomatoes to break down, but actually, whether that be tinned tomatoes or fresh tomatoes, they don't take that long. I've just added a little splash more water because it was drying out a little bit. So just play it by ear. If you feel like your pan is drying out, just put a little splash of water. It's just going to help those tomatoes break down a little bit. It was quite nice when I posted that I was going to do this dish. I got a lot of people, a lot of you sort of responded with very joyous responses, which was lovely. And it was because this is one of the dishes that a lot of you seem to have started on when it comes to cooking with me. So this was one of the dishes that many of you seem to have come to on the website or the app, and it was the first one you tried, and it's a dish that stayed with you. And that's really lovely to hear, so I was really chuffed with that.
Lorraine's tomatoes have completely broken down and are mushy.
Amazing, Lorraine. If you are at the stage where your tomatoes have broken down and it's all mushy, take a photo first of all, but if they're all mushy, you can go in with your chicken, give it a stir, and then just put that on a low heat and just let that simmer and start to cook. So I'm just chopping up my veg. So I've got onion, I have my peppers, I've got a tomato, and I'm cutting them all up in a very, very similar way, nice and chunky. And then with my chilli, what I want to do is I'm going to cut that nice and long. There we go. And that's just going to add a little bit more heat to this dish. Okay, I'm just going to scoop all of that into a bowl.
Someone's asked, do you add lemon to your dal?
Do I add lemon to my dal? It really depends on which dal I'm doing. I do sometimes. So if I'm making it quite thin, and that's how I like my dal. So sometimes you can make it, you can blitz it out. When I worked in the restaurant, what we used to do was we'd make something called dal soup. And that was a very thin dal that was then blitzed up, and into that we'd add lemon. I think it depends on what you're after. Sometimes you fancy a bit of zing, sometimes you don't. So it really depends on where you are. Okay, I'm going to have a little wipe down. And I'm going to come back and show you my...
Sue's just said, I find the jalfrezi fry goes really well with reheated dishes, for example, carrots and prawns.
Sue, that's really funny that you make that comment, because I think there was somebody else in the week said that she's been using my jalfrezi recipe ever since she did it. And the fry bit, so the vegetable fry bit, she now uses as a side dish. So that's really interesting that you should say something very, very similar. It is a lovely way to prep your veg and so on. And I suppose you could add anything really if you wanted to have it as a nice side dish. Okay, my tomatoes are almost there. So I'm just going to show you what they look like. And then I'm going to get the chicken in, because it seems like you guys are ahead of me at the moment. So that's what we are looking like. Can you see? So they've really started to break down and turn into a nice mush, which is what I want. So into that, I'm going to pop my chicken. And as I said, I've got chicken thigh here that I've sliced up. Move that away.
It was Sandra who does the...
Hello, are you with us as well, Sandra?
Yeah,
amazing! Sandra, though, it was lovely to read that. It really made me smile. So that's, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love it. Okay, so I've just coated my chicken.
Lawrence has asked, what restaurants did you learn to trade?
So I worked with the Tamarind group of restaurants in London, and I worked under the head chef there, which was great. And so I'd started to do my sort of thing, and they saw what I was doing on YouTube and asked me to come in, and then I ended up staying with the head chef there for about 2-3 years, and it was really good for me because I learnt the restaurant side of things, because everything that I've done up until that point had been very much home style cooking. So that was really nice to see the other side of it. But what it made me realise is that I just don't want to be in the restaurant world, because it's all about pushing food through the door, and that's not where I wanted to be. For me, it's more about the engagement and the teaching and the getting people to get excited about food. So great experiences, lots of new skills learned and so on, but it also helped me focus, which was great. Okay, so my chicken's gone in. I'm going to now move this to the back, put the lid on, and that is going to cook away on a very low heat. So I do this all the time. It's really important, whenever you make a masala, whatever that masala might be, you add your meat to it, you add your protein to it, you then turn it down to the lowest heat and you put it on a really low heat. So this is where the slow cook bit comes in, and you let that simmer away, and that's where you get the gravy and the juice and the flavour coming from. What I don't want you to do is put your chicken in and then chuck loads of water in there, because you're going to dilute everything that you've just done. So we're going to let that cook. Whilst that's going on, we are going to move on to, not that one, we are going to move on to our Bombay potatoes. So what I've got here is I've got some diced potato, I've got an onion, I've got a couple of chillies, I've got some curry leaves. I know in the recipe I haven't put garlic, but I thought I might add a little bit of garlic as well, just to give it a little bit of oomph. So I'm just going to get my bits and pieces ready. So the first thing I'm going to do is just slice up my onion. Also, the other thing that I've said in the recipe is that I'm just using vegetable oil. If you want to, you can use mustard oil for this. It's a great ingredient to use for a dry potato dish like this. So if you want to, by all means you can.
Someone just asked, what is your family's favourite dish that you cook?
My family's favourite dish that I cook? Oh, I don't know. The kids are great fans of the meatball curry. They love the butter chicken. I have to say that for them, the butter chicken is something that if I ask them what they want, they will say butter chicken. I personally, my favourite has got to be my tariwali lamb. I love lamb in a curry, and that's probably my favourite. Okay, these onions are making me cry. Right, so all I've done is I've just sliced up 2 cloves of garlic. As I said, I know that's not in the recipe, you don't have to add it in, but I am putting them in. God, the onions. Oh. Right. So I've just put my pan on, I've put some oil in there. I'm going to add a teaspoon of mustard seeds. Now, when you add mustard seeds into hot oil, what happens is they sizzle and they pop and they fly out the pan. So just be very careful. Before I start, is everybody with me? Give me a shout out if I'm going too quickly. I can stop and have a little sip of water. Or if you're still with me, then I can get going. I know that I feel a little bit like I'm racing on. Getting any comments? Is everyone with me? I'm just going to give it a little stir. Give my chicken a stir. Oh, it's looking good. Are we good? Are we good to go? So a teaspoon of mustard seeds goes in. That gives this a really lovely bite. And then I'm going to put some curry leaves in. If you haven't got curry leaves, I know that becomes a thing. If you haven't got curry leaves, don't worry, just miss them out. What you can do in this dish is put a bay leaf in if you want to. But if you haven't got either, don't worry about it, it's fine. So I'm going to pop in my mustard seeds. And then very quickly I go in with my curry leaves. Pop, pop, pop. Just give that a little stir. And then I'm going to add my garlic. Now my mustard seeds are popping all over the place. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And I'll show you what it looks like in the pan. Just because, you might not be able to see at the bottom. Where that? There you go. Can you see? Okay, same principle. We just want the garlic to just soften, maybe a little bit of colour, not too much. If you're not using garlic, don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine.
Monique's asked, or she said, I'm not cooking with you today, but what protein can I substitute for chicken that will work?
So in this you can put whatever you like. So you want, because you've got the peppers in there, you want something with a bit of a bite. So you could use paneer, you could use nice big pieces of paneer. You can obviously use some of the alternative meat, plant protein bits and pieces. You can get some really good sort of fake chicken bits if you like that kind of thing. Otherwise, go for something really nice and meaty, like a big chunky mushroom or something like that. Because what you don't want is you want to have different textures in there. So you'll have the crispiness of the vegetables, but then you also want something with a little bit of a chew to it. So I hope that helps. Okay, so I've just put my onions in as well because the garlic's starting to get a bit of colour to it. So the onions have gone in, and I'm going to chop up my chilli. Do you know what? I might just add one this time because the other dish is quite spicy. So I'm just going to put one chilli in. Just go over it a couple of times just so that it's nice and fine. Now I want my onions to get a bit of colour to them, get nice and golden. Whilst that's happening, check on your chicken. Now what you should see with your chicken as it's starting to cook is you're starting to get a little bit of gravy, a little bit of sauces coming through. So that's all of the juices from the meat. That's a little bit of the fat that's in there rendering out. But that's where your yummy, yummy flavour should come from.
A few things.
Okay.
Maria's not a question. She said she made your lamb with the curry today, and a few days ago made your marrow curry. And then a little bit before made your pasanda with pork instead of chicken, which was absolutely delicious.
Who's that, sorry?
Maria.
Hello Maria, just had your comments read to me. Amazing, lovely to hear that you've done so much cooking in the last few days. That's brilliant. Lovely to hear that. I've got a huge, I'll show you actually. My very lovely gardener has left me a marrow, so I will be doing that very, very soon as well. These are obviously in abundance at the moment. So if you've got marrows, if you've got loads of courgettes, there's some really lovely recipes on the website, from chutney to the marrow curry. So have a look.
Lawrence has said a few years ago the Asian supermarkets were told they weren't allowed to sell fresh curry leaves. If they did, would have
yeah. So what happened a few years ago was that curry leaves. There was an E. coli issue with curry leaves a few years ago, and what happened was that all Indian, there was a complete ban on curry leaves coming into the UK. They have tightened up on that, and they are the hygiene bit and all of that kind of stuff. There's various regulations that they have to go to, so you can get curry leaves again in the UK. One thing I will say to you, and I have said this before, curry leaves grow really well in the UK. So if you can get hold of a curry plant, just stick it in your garden. It will do really, really well. And that way you'll have your own curry leaves to use when you need them.
Nina said, what do you do if your garlic is turning brown? Do you need to start all over?
So if your garlic in your potatoes is turning brown, if your pan is to turn the pan down, what you can do is just add a little splash of water just to cool the pan down. Mine is going a little bit brown as well. Don't worry about it. Just put a little splash of water in, that will help. And that will stop it from burning. It's burning is the bit that is the worrying bit. Okay, so whilst my onions are cooking down, I'm going to get my spices ready. So into this, I'm going to put some cumin seeds and I'm going to put some coriander seeds. So these are the beautiful coriander seeds, seeds of the coriander plant. What they do is add a lemony zing to your dish. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of those in. I'm going to start to bash these up before I add my coriander, before I add my cumin, just because they take a little bit longer to break down. Now, when you are grinding your spices, do not bash them like that, because what will happen is they will just fly out of your pestle and mortar. Just use all of the space you've got just to grind them. And as you start to grind them, you'll start to get the aromas coming through and the aromatics coming through. I'm going to add a splash of water to mine too. Sizzle, sizzle. There we go. So that's just cooled the pan down, and it's going to help those onions brown a little bit while I'm doing this bit. Keep an eye on your chicken as well, guys. Just have a little look, see if it's okay. Okay, so my coriander's ground down a little bit. I'm going to add my cumin. I'm just going to grind those up. Now remember, you are never, ever, 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 ever going to get a fine powder. But what you will get are lots and lots of aromatics coming from these. You'll get a little bit of texture, but you know what? With a dry dish like this, it's absolutely fine. Okay, grinding those up. Onions are colouring beautifully.
Ian said hi from Jamaica.
Hello Ian, all the way from Jamaica. Amazing, lovely to have you join me. I hope you are well. I hope Jamaica is good. I hope you've got the sun shining. And I hope that things are getting back to normal for you.
Lorraine said she's cooking along in her caravan after being allowed to stay at last after lockdown. So she's candlelising the whole holiday park.
Oh, amazing. So you're cooking in a caravan, Lorraine? We quite often have some guys called Treading the Globe join us. I don't think they've joined us today, but they normally join us. They are going around the world in their camper van, and they are quite often, well, they're always cooking in their camper van, and it's always lovely to see their pictures. But please do take a photo of you cooking in your camper van and let me know what you're doing and what you're up to.
Lee's asked, what's a good spice grinder? I was on for an hour grinding up the spices for your madras with the pestle and mortar.
Ah, see, that is tricky. Who was that, sorry?
Lee.
Hello, Lee. The madras has a lot of spices in there, so yeah, for a dish like that, for that and the boona and those kinds of dishes, absolutely you need a spice grinder. My spice grinder of choice is the Cuisinart nut and spice grinder. That's what it's called, and it's the one that you see me use quite a lot. It is quite expensive, but I have been through, I can't tell you how many spice grinders, and I've tried the Krupp, so I've tried loads and loads of them, and that one has lasted me for at least 5 years. At least, and that's really unusual for a spice grinder because they do get a bit of battering. The good thing with the Cuisinart one is that it comes with 2 tubs, 2 metal tubs, and you can twist them out and you've got a second one to put in. So it is a really good one, and yeah, I'm really sorry that took you so long, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend a really good spice grinder. Is well worth its weight in gold.
Lawrence has said, how does Bob Marley like his donuts?
Is that a question? I don't know. Is it a joke?
Yeah.
How does Bob Marley like his donuts?
With jamming.
With jamming. Love it. Love it. Okay, right. So my spices are ground up into my onions. I'm just going to show you what my onions look like. So they've got a bit of colour to them. Can you see? So they've got a little bit of lovely brown colour to them. And they smell really quite aromatic. So into here, we are going to add our spices. So I'm going to put in here a little bit of chili powder. I'm going to put a little bit of turmeric, and I'm going to put my ground spices and some salt in there. Now this is something that I don't normally do. So normally I would put some liquid in this before I add my dried spices, because I don't want them to burn. So please do be aware of the fact that you're putting ground spices into a dry pan and you don't want them to burn. So make sure your temperature is right down low. So turmeric goes in, just under a teaspoon. I've put in, actually I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and then my ground spices. So that's what they look like now. So they are going in, and then I'm just going to move this out the way. Oh, that's a workout and a half. So give that all a mix through. We're just getting a little bit of heat to those spices. And as I said, when you apply heat to spices, it just makes them release those natural oils a little bit. So your pan should look very, very dry. I'm going to show you. But it's starting to get that lovely colour and so on. Into that now, we're going to put our potatoes. I did put my chilli in, didn't I? Yes, I did. I did put my chilli in. Okay, so the potatoes go in, and I'm going to give all of that a stir. Now, just be aware that you are going to get a little bit of the spice catching on the bottom, which is fine for a minute. All we want to do is just keep an eye on it, get a little bit of heat to it, and what will happen is you'll start to get a little bit of moisture coming out of the potatoes. If you are panicking and thinking, oh my God, it's all going to burn, it's all going to stick, then that's fine. We are going to add a little splash of water, but I just want to do that. I just want to wait for as long as possible before I do that, just so that I can start to get some of the flavours penetrating into the potatoes. Okay, whilst that's doing that, let's have a look at the chicken. Lovely. I'm going to show you what my chicken looks like. It's all coming together beautifully. Right, so nice bit of gravy, nice bit of juice at the bottom there. That chicken is pretty much done, and it should smell delish. Okay, so the potatoes.
Roxana is watching from Kenya, who's going to cook this tomorrow.
Hello Roxana from Kenya, you're going to cook this tomorrow. I want to see pictures. Please take a picture and share it with me. So I'm just going to show, just to put your minds at ease. Look, you look at the bottom of my pan. Can you see? So you see the spice have caught on the bottom a little bit. That's fine. They haven't burnt. It hasn't gone terribly wrong. It's all good. So into this now, I'm going to add a little splash of water. And what will happen is all of those spices will lift off the bottom. Not a lot of water, because I don't want my potatoes to turn to mush. So just very gently, just use your spoon and just take, and everything just comes off. There we go. Now, can you see? You've got all the spices off the bottom, and then you've got a little bit of liquid in there. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to put this on a very gentle heat, and I'm going to put it on, I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to put it on a very gentle heat, and what will happen is the potatoes will steam and cook away and simmer away. What I should have mentioned at the beginning is the type of potato to use for this kind of dish. You can use any potato, but if you use a Maris Piper, just a normal white potato, then your potatoes will cook much more quickly. If you use something that's waxy like a Desiree or one of those red potatoes, they are going to take much longer to cook. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but I've just got some Maris Pipers in there, and these will cook probably in about 10-15 minutes, not even that long. So I'm going to move this, I'm going to switch this over with my chicken, and we're going to come back and finish our chicken dish off. Okay, is everybody still with me? Are we still happy? Are we still cooking? Has everyone got to the same stage? Sue, how are you doing? I hope you've still got all your fingers, because I know that you've had a few issues over the last few cook-alongs, but how are we doing? Come on, give me some feedback, guys. I need to hear from you.
It's like a 30-second lag or something.
Right, so I'm just going to give my chicken a stir through. It smells really yum. It smells lovely. So that's looking good. Right, so now we're going to do the jalfrezi fry bit, but I'm not going to start that until I hear back from you guys, letting me know how you are doing. Right. Cumin.
All good.
Everyone all good. Smelling good.
Nina said first time and it's a bit of a struggle.
Nina, first time, bit of a struggle. What do you mean, to keep up and so on? Let me know where you are. That's fine. It's absolutely fine. I'm just really pleased that you've joined me and you are actually cooking. Once you get into the swing of it, and there's some old hats here that do it all the time, you'll start to realise how you get to grips with it, and you'll be running before you know it. One thing I will mention is, if this is your first time, then please do download my app. It's free, and it's a really nice place for you to ask any questions, because I know there's a lot of people that are cooking along tonight that are part of that community on the app. And if you've got something that you want to ask, either directly to me, I will always answer, or the community, so they'll be able to advise you about how you prep beforehand and all of that kind of stuff. There's loads of people on there, and they are all so lovely, and they will really help you, and I will as well.
She said using the wrong onion in the wrong dish.
Using the wrong onion in the wrong dish. Oh, you'll have to, don't worry about it. I'm sure it's fine. Just take some pictures, and I am sure it will still taste amazing. Don't give yourself such a hard time. A lot of people give themselves such a hard time that they haven't followed a recipe bang all the way through. When you cook with me, and a lot of you who have cooked with me in the past know that I sort of freestyle every now and again, and that's what cooking's about. So adding your own little flair into what you're doing.
Lawrence is making notes as you go. Sue said she's fine, waiting for chicken before.
Well done, Sue.
Trying, but is going to do that before they're ready to eat. Her fingers are all intact.
Yes, fingers intact. Well done, Lawrence. Making notes is always helpful, but I want to see pictures.
And then Wendy's asked, can I use leftover cooked potatoes?
Do you know what, Wendy? Brilliant question. Absolutely. Perfect kind of dish that you can use leftovers in. I've made these potatoes with leftover roast potatoes in the past. It's really a good way to use up leftover bits and pieces.
And then is the chicken still on?
My chicken is off at the moment. I've taken it off. It's pretty much cooked, and I am going to heat it up again once I add my fry to it. But for the minute, I've just left it off because it's all looking very nice and juicy.
Robert said my chicken dish is very saucy.
That's cool. You've probably used more chicken than I have, so I'm just cooking enough for me and my husband today because the kids have this is going to be a bit spicy for them and they wanted pizza today. So what do you do, hey? What can you do? So I've got less volume of chicken. If it's nice and saucy, brilliant. That's exactly what you want.
Sue said, how about tinned potatoes?
You can use tinned potatoes, absolutely. Yep, tinned potatoes, they'll already be cooked and all they're going to do is just absorb some of those flavours that you've got in there. The only thing with the tinned potatoes, just be careful of the salt content. Sometimes they can be salted, sometimes they're not. It really depends on the brand. So always alter and change the seasoning that you're adding into your masala when you're using those kinds of potatoes. Okay, are we all good? Right. So,
if I make
more
it
questions.
with tofu instead of chicken, should I put the tofu in the tomato gravy or in the jalfrezi to fry with the vegetables?
If you're using tofu, then you should use the tofu as you would do the chicken. So use the tofu in the, so once you get your tomatoes broken down, you've got that lovely masala, you've got that saucy bit. You might need to add a little bit more water than you would do with the chicken because you're going to get moisture coming from the chicken. Obviously, you're not going to get that with the tofu. Then just a little, then add it into the tomato masala, not the fry bit, because you want the tofu to absorb the flavors from the masala. The other thing that you could use as well is chickpeas. Chickpeas would be really good in this. So when you make your tomato masala, you could add chickpeas to that. Chickpeas and potatoes even you could put in, and then you do your little fry bit later. Okay, so I'm going to do my fry. So jalfrezi, lots and lots of different thoughts and ideas where that name comes from. If you've looked at the website, I've put a little bit of blurb in there. So jal, they say, comes from the word jaldi. Jaldi means quick. So it's a quick, and frez is to fry. So jalfrezi is a quick fry dish. When you do this without me, when you're in your own kitchen, this will not take you very long at all. It'll probably take you about 20 minutes, half an hour to do. Obviously, it takes a bit longer because I talk too much, but it is a really quick, lovely dish. Perfect for a midweek curry. If you're craving a curry on a Wednesday night, this is the one that you should do. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil in my pan. And I've got that on. Into there, I am going to put in some cumin seeds. Now, this bit of the dish is genius. So this is the bit that a lot of people seem to really like because it adds flavour to the vegetables before you add them into your masala. So I'm just going to use the same spoon here. So same principle. When the cumin seeds start to sizzle and you start to get the aromas coming through, that's when I'm going to go in with my vegetables. Now, this bit is quite important. Think about what suits you. Some people like their vegetables to be really, really crispy. And if that's you, that's fine. Then you just keep an eye on how long you cook them for. Other people like their veg to be completely soft and cooked through. So you need to cook them for a little bit longer, and then when you add them into your sauce, you cook that for a little bit longer as well, so that they have time to just get a little bit nice and soft in there. If you want to cook your onions down for a little bit longer first, you can put those in. So when your cumin seeds start to sizzle, just get your onions in first.
Someone's just commented saying, me and my mum had this inside joke, and I teased her and said, oh, okay, then I'll learn from my YouTube mum.
I love that. Who's that?
They haven't said this.
Oh, that's really lovely.
Same person who used it for mum.
Pardon?
The same person who used it.
Oh, amazing. That's so funny. I love it. Okay, so I'm just going to saute these off. I'm going to break them down a little bit because they're quite chunky. I love raw onion. Whenever I have Indian food, I will always have sliced raw onion on the side, much to my husband's annoyance, but it is something that I really like. So I put my onions in first. Now you can leave these for a little bit longer if you want to, but obviously I don't want to hold you all up. So I'm going to add everything else in.
your dishes?
So I have put salt in my masala already, so a little bit of seasoning. If you haven't done that, you can add a little bit now. And then, so in here, now look, this is why I'm wearing red today, because it's such a beautiful, vibrant, colourful, amazing dish. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to saute, oh, what was that? So I am going to saute these for a little bit longer, just to, you might want to turn your temperature up a little bit, just to help them along. Now, whilst they are doing what they need to do, I'm going to put the temperature, sorry, I'm going to put the chicken back on, just so, on a very low heat, just to get it warmed up, and I'm going to check my potatoes as well. So check your aloo, and they should start, yeah, mine are getting nice and soft. I'll show you what it looks like, shall I? So look, can you see? They're starting to cook. They don't take very long, so if you've got the right potatoes, they don't take very long. I'm just going to, now what I don't want is, I don't want to be heavy-handed with them, because I don't want to end up with a bowl of curried mashed potato. I want my potatoes to still have a little bit of potato-ness to them, even though they're cooked. Right. So it's all looking good. The potatoes are almost done. Now, this is the genius bit, I think, when it comes to your fry bit. What we're going to do is we are going to put in a teaspoon of garam masala into our peppers, and that just elevates that from here to here. It's amazing. So a teaspoon of garam masala goes in. You see? And that should, as soon as you put it in, that should really hit you. It's so potent and powerful. So I'm going to give that a stir. Really, really lovely and aromatic. And it shouldn't, hopefully it shouldn't catch the bottom of your pan, because you've got the moisture from the vegetables coming through as well. So that is looking and smelling amazing. Look at that.
Have you put a tomato in the fry?
I have put a tomato in the fry. There's my tomatoes. So I've got a tomato in there. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I've got in here red onion, red and yellow pepper. You can use green pepper. And I've also got a tomato in there as well. So this is the bit where you need to think, right, do I still like my veg quite crunchy? I do. So what I'm going to do is move my chicken back onto the pan, and I'm going to add my veg in. Right, you can get as much of that spice mix in there. I've turned my temperature up high, and we're going to mix that all up and get a little bit of heat to it. Now, as I said before, if you like your vegetables a little bit more soft, now is the time to just keep them cooking for as long as you are, you know, however soft you want them. I'm just going to cut, I've got a massive pepper in here, which I didn't cut earlier. So just give it all a mix through. Now, this is the time when, if you want your peppers and your onions to soften more, you just let them simmer away in here, and they will absorb all of those flavours. They're also sharing their lovely aromatics with the chicken as well, so you can just let that simmer away. If you like them nice and crunchy, then your chicken is pretty much done. All we're going to do is just heat that all together once through. Yum. Smells amazing. Right, guys, if you are cooking at home, how is it going? Are we getting excited? Are we getting hungry? I'm going to come back to my potatoes as well. Give them a little stir. Just see how they're doing. Oh, yum. These potatoes, oh, lovely. These potatoes are really nice to, if you've got nothing else in the house, you do this with your potatoes and have them with a burrata. So we've made burrata before, which are the Indian fried breads. Oh my God, that for breakfast is just amazing. And oh, lovely.
What about yogurt?
Oh, I didn't put the yogurt in. You're right. Absolutely. So what I should have done is put the yogurt in before I added my fry, but I forgot. So I'm going to do it now. So we'll just put, I'm going to put a tablespoon in.
Are you serving with rice or roti or just potatoes?
So I am serving this with rice because that's what I fancy today, but you can serve it with either. You could serve this with naan, whatever takes your fancy. Yes, thank you for the yogurt reminder. Totally forgot. So what I should have done is before I added my fry into there, just a little bit of yogurt if you want to. It just adds a little bit of tartness to the sauce, but you don't have to. Right, so I've just put that in now. Now that is looking delish. And I'm going to let that do what it needs to do. I'm just going to check my potato. I think we are pretty much ready. I'm just going to take it out and put it on there just so that I can show you that. Look at that, cooked through and delish. I'm going to have a taste. Needs a little bit more salt. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Lovely. Oh, I could just eat that on its own. Yum. Right. So I am happy with where I am with that. I'm going to give this, ow. It's on. Now the back one is on as well. That was hot. So those potatoes, oh, they look amazing. Right, I'm just going to have a little clear down. And I'm just going to get this plated out for you so that I can show you where we are. Right. So as I said, this is nice. Oh, yeah. Where's my little chopping board? I'll just use this very, very quickly. So a little bit of coriander for my potatoes, for my aloo, nice and finely chopped. Oh, this is so fragrant, amazing. I love growing stuff. I've just got my courgettes in the garden, we've got some beans, lots of fun stuff. Okay, so, right, I hope you are with me in terms of if you have been cooking, I hope that you've managed to keep up. If anybody's got any comments or anything that that didn't work out for them, please do let me know, because I'm always happy to help and always happy to share information, or you know, if you need a bit more advice or guidance, I'm always happy to help out if I can. So here is, oh no, the jalfrezi, or the little stir fry. Few peppers in there, great way to get some lovely veg in. I know some people said that peppers don't agree with them. Just sub out the peppers for something different, because if you don't like it, if it doesn't suit you, then you shouldn't really indulge in it. Smells, tastes delish. Right, wipe that down a little bit, and then I'm just going to put in my lovely Bombay aloo or sukke aloo, dry fried spicy potatoes with cumin, curry leaves, onions, and lots of yummy flavours. So that is going on there. I'm going to top that with a little bit of coriander. It's so zingy, this coriander, it's amazing. Now if you want to, you can also season or just finish your jalfrezi with some coriander as well. You don't have to if you don't want to. It really depends on what suits you, but there you go. So in just over an hour, we've made a lovely, fresh, zingy chicken jalfrezi and some Bombay potatoes or sukke aloo, all on a Friday night. And we've done it together, and I hope you guys have picked up a few little hints and tips along the way. But there you go, I'm just going to show you my dish. I hope you like the look of it. It's always lovely, as I said, to see your dishes as well. So please, please, please do take some pictures and share your dish with me. I will be posting my pictures on Instagram and on the app as well. So if you haven't downloaded the app yet, please do so. As I said, it's the quickest way for you to get hold of me, and it's the quickest way for me to answer your questions. I hope you've enjoyed the Friday Night Curry Club. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking time out of your busy weeks to cook along, ask questions, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's been lovely meeting all of you new guys who haven't been on before. So thank you, and thank you for participating. We will be doing this again next week, as we do every week. And what would be great is, what I'll do is on a Wednesday I will post the dish that we're going to cook, and then I'll give you all the details and all the information that we need, and then we'll cook together on Friday. I hope you've had fun. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to your pictures. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet.